Hi, good morning. I've been promising this tutorial forever. So today we're going to talk about how to use props. And you can see I have a little group of props here. I have a blanket. I have a foam roller, which I know is not a typical yoga prop, but we're going to use that. I have a yoga block. And I don't have a yoga strap, but I have just a regular, winter scarf, and a belt would be fine. So typically, blocks make the floor closer, straps make your arms longer, and blankets make the floor softer. Now, of course, there's other ways to use them also, but that's sort of the basic principle. So for example, if you're stretching your hamstrings, you have one leg forward and you can't reach your foot, you can hook the strap over the ball of the foot and keep a nice flat back as you lean forward. This also works when you're on your back. You can hook the strap around the ball of the foot and have the leg up. You can also have the leg out. You can also have the leg across, but basically it makes it so that you can reach your foot when you can't reach your foot. Okay, so those are some common uses of straps. There's other uses of straps like practicing chaturanga, but I'm just going over sort of the basic bare bones uses of these props. Now, blocks are useful, I find, for sitting on or for standing poses. So for example, if you are sitting on the floor and your knees are way up and your hips are all uncomfortable, just sit up a little higher. Sit up on the block. And then when you bring your feet together, there's just a little bit more space between the torso and the thighs. And you can hinge forward. And this is great for Baddha Konasana, bound angle. This is great for Janu Shirshasana. You can even use this in a seated twist. Okay. Other thing is, say you're seated on the floor and your knee is way up in the air, you can just place the knee on the block, right? And so it just gives a little support. Also with cross-legged poses, right? If you feel a little strain, if you were stacking ankle to knee and that top knee was way up in the air, just give a little support with the block and it just takes the pressure off of your hips. So that's possibilities for seated poses. For standing poses, helps you reach the floor. So for example, in triangle pose, you can have the block just sort of to the outside of the ankle and place the hand on the block. And you can have the block vertically, right? You can have it down a level or you can have it flat, depending on what your body requires. But it just brings the floor a little bit closer to your hand, right? If you were in side angle, same thing, right? You bring the hand to the block, it can be vertical. If you need a lot of support, if you just need a little support or even less, right? There's different levels that you can use the block. And really useful for poses like Ardha Chandrasana, the half moon. You bring the block about a foot in front of your toe, pinky toe, and it just gives a little support to help you balance. Again, brings the floor closer to you. Now, in terms of blankets, blankets are great for a variety of reasons, and you can have them as a sort of roll for Shavasana. Right? You can place it under your knees and gives a nice support, takes the pressure off the lower back. Right, you can bring the soles of the feet together. If you have a wider blanket and you want to do a Supta Baddha Konasana and the knees are kind of resting on the blanket or the beach towel as it comes across, that's a really nice way to use it. You can use it also for Shavasana, rolling up the long way. This is a tiny little blanket, but you can roll it the long way, place it in the direction of the mat, sit on the floor, and have the upper body supported, head supported. And it creates a nice passive chest opening. And the blankets, you can kind of use the blankets kind of like the blocks too. If you have a blanket under that knee, giving a little support, or you can have the blanket to sit up a little taller on. That's useful. If you're practicing shoulder stand and you can put it under your shoulders to give a little bit of space for the neck, that's also a great way to use the blanket. Also, in Shavasana is great if it's cold. Right now it's summer, but if it's cold, you can always cover yourself with it. And even just putting the weight of the blanket over your hips can be very grounding. So in Shavasana, even if it's not cold and you're not using it for warmth, the weight of the blanket can be really nice and give you a little bit of sense of ease. And now the foam roller, you can use similarly if you have a foam roller. You can place it under the knees for Shavasana, right? You can use it as a support For Ardha Chandrasana, lots of ways to use the foam roller, or you can use it as a foam roller. That's also possible. But just, as a yoga prop, the little short foam rollers can be really useful. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments or email me at purpleroomyoga@gmail.com. And I'm happy to answer your questions. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.